because it's deep work. And, I'm assuming that it's possible,
Very
but
possible.
to
Yes.
change, right? To change and work on our attachment styles. Could you talk a little bit about that? If it is, and how does one actually go about moving from one of these three skewed attachment styles to something more secure?
Yeah, absolutely. So the sort of like piece I like to start off with people is, well, you are not born with an attachment style, right? You formed your attachment style
Hmm.
between 0 to 2. So what happened is you had a whole bunch of patterns that got conditioned into your subconscious through repetition and emotion. And so knowing that that's what happened to us, we can use those same mechanisms to recondition them. And the things that we have to recondition are exactly what we've been talking about. Is like if we can know what core wounds we adapted. So for me, I had a huge trust wound. I kept waiting, the trust wounds would show up, and I didn't know how to really let my guard down. And so that was something I really had to work on and recondition within the relationship to myself. Using tools like auto suggestion, that belief reprogramming we talked about,
Hmm.
but also using the funny part is like all of our wounds are essentially also our shadow. So the things that
Hmm.
we are wounded by, we also do to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, had these big trust wounds, but then I also constantly betrayed my own trust because I would people please people so much and never set my own boundaries or put my needs last or say yes when it was a no for me, or, so I'm violating my own trust all the time. So that kind of comes into our needs, right?
Hmm.
We reprogram the wounds. We learn to meet our unmet needs. We develop healthier boundaries. We learn to regulate our nervous system. Like, these sound like a lot of big topics, but they're not that hard. Like, once you understand the reprogramming of the core wounds, you can plug in a couple at a time over a few weeks, do a huge number on them, move on to next wounds. Learning to meet our needs is like really identifying what were these unmet needs from childhood. If it was safety, if it was a sense of connection, a sense of harmony, like what, attunement, presence. How can we do those things in relationship to self?
Hmm.
And then, once we fix that within ourselves, once we heal that and reprogram those patterns across core wounds, needs, emotional patterns, then we have to go bring that into the world. So sometimes I'll see people, and this is my experience too, like, becoming secure for me was, at first I felt secure on my own. I reprogrammed a ton of core wounds. I learned to meet my own needs. I learned to emotionally regulate. And I was like, it was the first time I ever felt a sense of peace in my life. And then I was like, well, why would I want to be in a relationship? Because I'm good on my
Right.
own and happy.
Right. You just got it figured out. Don't mess with it.
Don't anything mess it up. Exactly. And so, the sort of second layer of it becomes, well, how can we maintain that well in relationship to others? How can we learn to communicate about our needs or set a boundary or, change the way that we cope? And so when we can do that work and we can communicate and articulate what it is that we need in a relationship when we're triggered, or let somebody, understand what's going on for us, practice that vulnerability, those boundaries, when we can do that with people, that's where we really have that's what will lead to becoming securely attached. So it's work that can be absolutely done. I mean, in even in our school, and this is dominantly securely attached, so this is more than 50%. When people come in, they test on the attachment style, and the stat was 92% of our students within 90 days reported being dominantly securely attached by targeting these 6 areas.
Wow.
Now, that's dominantly. It doesn't mean they're 100% secure, but like huge dents in these things by really, really digging into like the core wound reprogramming, the needs, the emotional regulation, and then just bringing that out to communicate to others. So something that can absolutely be done. I'm blessed to get to see it all the time. And I think it's important to realize that if we have proper tools to understand our experiences and then to work through them, all these things can absolutely be changed.